Hey everyone, I'm Ross Johnson from the Sound of Tomorrow show on WAYO 104.3 FM Rochester. It's the home of the music and the people where they talk and they sing all the songs. And on the Sound of Tomorrow show, we're going to be talking about a little history. We've got some current event type updates of things in our lives, and we've got some hot picks. It's going to be we're going to try to keep it real cash this week. So, everybody relax, grab yourself a cocktail or just a water, whatever you're into. Herbal tea, that's all right. You don't need anything heavy. It's fine. Or do if you want, whatever works for you. It's all good. That's next on the Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO 104.3 FM Rochester. But first.
Wow, Ross, what a weekend. Did you see the teams play the game?
The Teamsters? Oh my God, are they on strike again?
No. The game. The big game.
I don't agree with that kind of hunting, Heather. I don't even do leather. Come on.
You know there was the game with the men who run around with the ball.
Was that this past weekend?
Yeah, the big one.
Right. Okay, I did hear about that. The Grand Slam celebration, yeah?
Maybe?
Or it's the batter's up.
Is there a cup? Stanley's Cup?
Yeah, I think they all wear cups, though, so...
they better. The sports are tough.
Yeah. No, actually, okay, I think the Stanley one is on ice, actually.
This wasn't ice. It's the one with the middle bit where the famous people do a thing.
The Puppy Bowl!
You know it! Sports!
Oh. I'm rooting for Bowser.
I want fluff.
Oh, fun. Hey everybody, I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co-host.
And I'm Heather Dykowski, the babe with the power. You're listening to The Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO LP Rochester.
That's a show on the radio for you to listen to right now.
It sure as Wales is. How was your Valentine's Day, Ross?
It was sexy.
It was sexy.
Sexy, yes.
You did romantic stuff?
Yes.
Me too.
Absolutely. Very. Extremely. Because when you've been married a long time, you absolutely, when Valentine's Day rolls around, you do the sex and romance, mostly.
Right. That's what I've heard. Yeah, I had a date with the most handsome man in the world.
Nigel. That is unlikely. Oh, Nigel, your cat. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always telling him he's the most handsome man in the world.
Which is funny because you're always telling me I'm the most handsome man in the world.
Well, you are too.
Have you ever told one of your Grindr? Oh, I guess it's not Grindr. What is the straight one? What's Grindr for straight people? What is that one?
There are a ton, but I think you probably mean. I think
farmers
you probably.
Only?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Plenty of fish, also known as plenty of fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian
Mingle. It's Christian Mingle. That's the Grindr for singles.
Sure.
For straight people, that is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you ever tell your Christian Mingle dates that they're the most handsome man?
No, because I'd be lying. Because Nigel's the most handsome man in the world.
Okay.
Maybe I should start saying things like, "Wow, you're almost as handsome as my cat." And I should see where that gets me.
I think you should. Do you have any? You don't have any pickup lines, right?
No, I don't have any pickup lines.
Do you get pickup lines?
No, I get a lot of hey.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of hey, and oddly enough, there are a lot of men out there who think it's appropriate to message you at weird hours and ask you to come over, when you haven't ever met them before. They just think that you're going to come to their house.
I guess among straight people that might seem odd. Sure, I can see that.
Yes.
I can see you finding that strange.
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like with a Grindr or a Scruff or a what's the other one? Sniffy?
Sniffy, yep.
Yeah. I feel like
that's when you're into armpits.
I feel like with those there's less it's quite likely somebody might get murdered, and that person who might get murdered is probably the woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, slightly.
Yeah, probably only slightly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's always interesting.
So you don't ever do that. Have you ever been tempted to just be
No.
like, I'm gonna? Is it because you don't want to leave the house?
Yeah.
Like, let's say you
And
were
also it's
already out.
so I often do think like, is there anyone, like if anyone at all in my life, from my past, from my future, whatever, if they messaged me at say 12:30 in the morning and
Mhm.
said, "Hey, do you want to come over?" For whom would I do this? Like
Yeah,
really? Like I mean, I guess there are people, but it would be an emergency. Like if you messaged me asking me to come over at 12:30 in the morning, it would be because something was horribly wrong
yeah.
and you
Like you're
somehow
the only
needed
compatible.
help.
Like you're the only compatible blood type.
Right, exactly. So with that, I mean, sure, yeah, for you, but there's no way you would ask me to come over at 12:30 in the morning just like to hang out.
Yeah.
And so that anytime somebody asks me one of those, I am like, for whom would I do this? And th- the list is very short.
Now, let's say you were already out, right?
Yes.
Like, and this was, let's say hypothetically, this was like maybe it was like a friend of a friend, right? Or some like kind of acquaintance where maybe you felt a little bit safer and he was really whatever your version of attractive is. I have no idea. It's apparently a cat.
Yeah.
But let's say this was a
This
cat, a
this
very
is
sexy cat.
oh, if it were a sexy cat, I'd go home with that cat.
Okay. So, okay.
Yeah.
Would that ever happen or no?
Um I mean,
Maybe I shouldn't be asking you these things. I don't know
yeah,
if
that's
I don't know if you need your I don't know if I need to you need to be giving your plenty of fish people any ideas, but
yeah, no, I mean safety is important. You can't just go to any old person's house.
all right.
Yeah, there's protocol. You have to send your friends like pictures of them and their full names and anything you can find online and say, if I go missing, here's what did it.
It's this very sexy cat.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, that's what's going to do me in eventually.
Fair enough.
Yes. So,
Um,
but I had a very nice Valentine's Day. I had a little bit of tuna with Nigel. We split a can of
sure.
tuna. I gave advice on the radio. It was awesome.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. We all if we didn't hear that live, which Lord knows we didn't. Um and by we I
Only
mean me.
because it's too late.
Only because it's too late. And again, as you say, you're not going to leave the house at that hour. I'm not even going to like turn on a thing.
I
So,
understand. Yeah.
so
Leaving the house is hard.
yeah.
I mean, especially like, I don't know if you get this, but like I go out sometimes I'll go out to movies or go out dancing or whatever. But there's a trap. If I sit down, I'm not going to leave my house. Like I have to stay in motion and get ready and then just leave. Like I've
Yeah.
got to time it out perfectly because if I sit down, I am sunk. I'm
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
Yeah. I've definitely had moments where I'm like, what if I got really sick? Like in a positive way, like in a like, ooh, ooh, if I got really sick right now, they'd have to let me stay home. Yeah. I I understand.
Yeah,
I've been a
it's
little better. I've been a little better about it lately for some reason. I don't know what. Maybe I maybe I got to an age where like a switch flipped and I was just like, well, I only have a limited amount of time on this earth. I might as well go out and enjoy myself. I don't know. Or I got sick of being in Henrietta all the time. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I do agree with you. There's been something with me kind of for the past year
Mm-hmm.
where suddenly I am more likely to be like, sure, I'll come out and meet you, maybe just for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? You're gonna leave your house? What?
And maybe it's like a post-COVID thing. Maybe we just got all bottled up. I mean,
Maybe
not I
that's
say
it.
post-COVID with the realistic knowledge that
Yes,
we're all just pretending it's post-COVID.
of course.
We've all just agreed collectively as a community, as a culture, to
I
pretend that
know.
COVID is over. But
Yeah. Yep.
speaking
Yep.
of, I got a thing. Want to
What
hear about
thing
my
do you
thing?
have? I want to hear about your thing.
So I found so last year there was the first ever inaugural. I'm sorry. I'm doing like I've got very poor radio etiquette right now. I'm drinking a fizzy soda. I've got some walnuts that I thought I could eat surreptitiously, but it turns out I can't.
Yeah,
I put
no.
them in my mouth and it takes me like 5 minutes to chew them.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot going on here, and none of it is. It's all my own. It's all my own problem. It's nothing anyone else has done. I can't blame it on anyone else. I've
Yeah, I
just
mean,
got.
I thought I was doing a bad thing by just taking the last of my vitamins.
I really wanted these walnuts so bad,
I'm
and I thought like
sorry.
it's a walnut. It's not crunchy or anything. Surely I can just surreptitiously eat this walnut and no one will even know. And then like a I don't know, like an like an old lady drinking water. It just took me 10 minutes for some reason. Like I was like, so I don't know. But so last year in Chicago, there was the first ever inaugural GoldenCon, which is of
Where
course,
that's gold cash for gold.
yes, absolutely.
That's
So it
coin
was about
collecting. That's bullion. That's ingots. That's doubloons.
yeah, it was a political rally based on the gold standard,
Excellent.
which I couldn't go to. I was very
I'm
sad because you know how
sorry.
I feel
I
about the
know.
gold standard.
Yeah, no, I know how worked up you get. You and
I
your
mean,
coin collections.
I had my William Jennings Bryan cosplay already and everything. So I was, you know, so it's disappointing, but we have small disappointments in life.
We do.
But
We
this
do.
year, I said I was not going to miss. I was not going to miss Golden Con. So I'm ready to go. I've got the costume already. So no, so this is a Golden Girls convention, which
Yes.
I heard about last year, and so it seems sort of wild because so apparently what happened is, and I'm gonna draw a blank on the name of the organizer, and I apologize, organizer of Golden Con, but maybe I can look that up real quick while I'm talking. But so apparently what happened was this was going to be like a very small thing. This was going to be, I think Cindy Fee, who sings the theme song to the Golden Girls,
Oh, wow.
lives like in the Chicago area. I think. Don't go stalking her, anybody. I'm not. I'm not trying to dox Cindy Fee right now. I just think that's true. Um, so so the organizer, the group of organizers wanted to do uh we're like, oh, you know, we'll do a thing. There's a venue where there's like a Golden Girls drag show or whatever. So people were thinking like they were thinking like, oh, we can do a drag show and maybe she'll come. So that was it, right? Like that was the thing. So Zach Hudson is one of the organizers, and
Okay.
that's, I think there are a few, but that's the one I've heard in interviews the most. So I don't think he's the only one, but anyway. So it was going to be like and they had like there was like a small venue on Navy Pier, and it was going to be the whole thing. And then I guess the news got wind of it and were hyping it up. This is sort of the story I've heard about the way it built. And the news media got hold of it, and then it turned into like they're going to have a giant Golden Girls convention. So apparently they freaked out a little bit and were like, "Oh my god, we can't, like, what are we going to do?" Because now everybody wants to come to this thing.
Whoa.
And apparently they turned it into a giant thing that I heard nothing but good things about. So it was, could have been a debacle, although hopefully enough of a friendly crowd, that it would have been fine.
One would hope. I don't know how one could be like a real bitter, nasty person and also be interested in going to Golden Con.
Right, right,
And it doesn't seem like there's a line too much.
right. So I heard nothing but good things about it. Every interview I heard, or every, all of my little Golden Girls podcasts and stuff were like were like just saying it was like the best vibe, the best time. Everybody had so much fun.
Wow. So
And
what I
then,
hear is that each day is stuffed with laughs, fun events, shows, and possibly some cheesecake.
oh, I hope there's cheesecake. I was not told about the cheesecake.
I'm at the website. I was just looking at the
Very
FAQ
good.
so that I could find out a little bit more about it.
um, yeah, they had like a disco dance. There was
Sounds
cosplay. I don't know
fun.
what all the events were, but so I didn't hear anything about it, and I sort of forgot to look at some point because I was like, oh, are they going to do another one? And I didn't hear anything about it. And like I follow all these Golden Girls things, and I think in my head I was just like, oh, if there was going to be another one, it would come through the ether for me,
Yes.
and it didn't for some reason. It completely went over my head, and I
Wow.
don't know why. So I found so they announced it like in late December, so I wasn't that far behind, but they announced. So I was I saw that they were doing it again, and I was like, and I talked to my very tolerant husband, who also likes the Golden Girls. He's he appreciates the Golden Girls. He likes the Golden Girls. He doesn't hate
Yeah.
the Golden Girls. He's more than happy to do this. He probably wouldn't, he probably wouldn't go under his own steam, but
No, but I mean, liking Golden Girls well enough and doing it for you, like
mhm,
that would make it worthwhile, I think.
yeah. So, and so here's the weird thing. So you want to hear a dumb story that that is still sort of fascinating to me?
No, it's not dumb. I want to hear it.
To cough up those almonds, those walnuts.
Yeah.
It's just
Poor Ross. He's having quite a time. He just had to
my
mute himself to go and choke.
my own poor decision making. So, Mark Sotkin is a guy who was, I believe, so he was the showrunner for Golden Palace, the spinoff, and he was the either just the head writer for the last 3 seasons of Golden Girls, or the showrunner and the head writer for the last 3 seasons of Golden Girls. So
Okay.
big name in the Golden Girls world, behind the scenes person.
The
People
Golden
might,
World.
sure, people may or may not know who that is, but big behind the scenes person. And his name sort of had come to my mind because I had heard he was someone that I had heard a couple interviews with around the time of the first GoldenCon that he was a guest at. And he was one of the people who was like, oh, it's great, blah, blah, blah. So, I had seen the link for the GoldenCon. I sent it to Mike, and he was like, oh, we should look into that. That sounds fun. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I hadn't, now to preface this, like, I don't follow Mark Sotkin on Twitter. I hadn't interacted with any of his posts. I think all I did was I followed, after I sent Mike the link, I followed GoldenCon on Instagram.
Uh huh.
So, and that was it. That was pretty much it. So I'm that same day, I'm walking the dogs in the park, and I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, Mark Sotkin, that name came to my head. And I was like, oh, Mark Sotkin was there last year. I remember hearing interviews with him. He's really interesting. I wonder if he's going to go. And then I couldn't remember the website for the convention, which, by the way, is thankyouforbeingaFan.com, if anybody's looking for that.
Oh,
So I couldn't remember the address, the web address for the convention. I was like, well, I'll go to their social media because I think I knew what they were on Twitter. And I was like, I'll look them there and then I can get over to the website. So I pull up my Twitter, and I immediately have this notification that says Mark Sotkin is following you.
wow. Wow.
And I cannot figure it out other than like one of those weird social media algorithm things. But like, I hadn't done anything. Like, again, I don't follow him. I hadn't interacted with any of his posts. I hadn't tweeted about Mark Sotkin. If you followed my Twitter long enough, you'd know that I was into the Golden Girls, but I hadn't even posted anything about Golden Girls recently. It was the
Right.
weirdest thing, and I can't figure it out. And I feel like it felt a little creepy, so I wasn't going to be like, hey, why are you following me? Like, what made you follow me? I'm sure it was some Twitter algorithm that was like, oh, here's somebody you might like to follow. But I cannot figure it out. Like, I cannot figure out
No.
how, because on the one hand, Mark Sotkin is a big deal and does a lot
Right.
of other TV shows and other things. But on the other hand, like, who the hell is Mark Sotkin? You know what I mean? Like, if you're not
Mhm.
someone who's like following TV behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
So the fact that I'm in the dog park walking my dogs going, I wonder if Mark Sotkin's going to be there.
Right.
And somehow sent a psychic communication to Mark
Wow.
Sotkin on Twitter.
That's
Isn't that weird? Like, I
that's
can't,
really,
and I
really
was trying to
weird.
figure it out. Like, what I had done that would have, like, I don't know. But I also took it as a sign from, and possibly proof of God, right? That like, like, definitely need to go to GoldenCon.
Most definitely. Boy, oh boy. See, that also makes me wonder if something really, like, even creepier than I know is going on with computers. Like, somehow by you following Golden Con on Instagram, somehow some kind of thing, bot.
But like, even if it were that, like, and again, I know those algorithms are weird and stuff. So like, there might have been a thing like, I might have come up as people you might like to follow. Like, he still had to look at that and go like, okay, I'll follow him.
Right. Yes.
It's not like
And
it forced him to, it's
right. And
still
not
weird
to
to me.
say that your Twitter isn't interesting or anything, but you do kind of wonder a little bit, why is this kind of big Hollywood guy following
At that
someone in
exact moment.
Rochester
At that
at that
moment.
exact moment?
Because
Yeah, because
it's not like,
presumably you had checked your phone before you went to the dog park.
yeah, I'm sure. Like I check my phone. I check that stuff multiple times a day.
I
So
check
it's not
mine
like,
way too often.
yeah. So it hadn't been weeks. It might have been like an hour,
Right.
maybe. It might have been 15 minutes. It might have been 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It might have been like getting out of the car. I checked is probably more likely.
But that's what I
So
was thinking. It's not like, oh, I guess I'd better turn on my phone and see if anything happened. Like, I
yeah,
assumed you check it pretty regularly.
yeah. So it was the weirdest thing. And like I said, I took it as a sign from the universe
It
that I
is.
was definitely do this. And he has and also they had not announced him as a guest. And then he was announced as a
And then
guest
they did.
like
You willed
2
this
days
into
later.
being.
I might have. And then I mean this was a little more reasonable, but it was still sort of a nice, like, I posted a picture in a Golden Girl shirt on Instagram. And I think I didn't tag GoldenCon, but I did like a GoldenCon hashtag
Uh
because,
huh.
like, oh, I'm posting this because I'm going to GoldenCon, and so I mentioned it, and then B. Arthur's personal assistant Dan Watt sent me a nice note about the T-shirt and said he
Wow.
hopes to meet me. So it was like the first thing was definitely some kind of sign from the universe. This was more like a, oh, okay, this is, I get like what people are. I mean, the nice vibe that people were describing
Yes. Yeah.
is seems to I see it that seems to be very clear already. And even the
That's
Golden Con, like
nice.
even the Golden Con people like sent me a little note like, hey, if you want any more information and blah blah blah, we're excited to see you. So
This sounds like it's going
um
to be so nice. Now I really, really want to go, even though I think I'm more like a Mike level Golden Girls fan
sure.
than a you level. I like them. I do. I like that show. It's good.
I
I'd
think it'll be
never
fun
say anything
regardless.
against it. Huh?
I think it'll be fun regardless.
Regardless of,
Well, like as long as you don't hate the Golden Girls,
yeah.
like although I did see the Star Trek cruise that we went on last year.
Oh.
Paul F. Tompkins will be on this year's cruise, so I don't know if you want to. You
Ah,
might want to.
such a fan.
Yeah, you might
I'm
need to do that
such
one
a
instead.
fan. I wish he did a Paul F. Tompkins cruise.
Hmm. Well, he's doing a Star Trek cruise, which is the same idea, I think.
Yeah, he often, or at least in the past, he would do the Jonathan Colton cruise
Yeah.
that I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get into because they do the thing where people who are already there can book for next
Oh,
year. So the
yeah.
only rooms that are left are like the super grand extreme stateroom
Oh,
that's
okay.
like $10,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I would be interested in doing this, but not for $10,000.
Yeah, that sort of stinks. Like I mean, I understand like if they can sell it with people who've been there, why not? Like why wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
you? But it's also that's kind of how like that's kind of how like San Diego Comic-Con is now.
Yeah.
Like they sell tickets when you go, and then if you don't go, then you didn't get tickets.
Yep. Yeah.
And I
So
think I know
since
people who just buy tickets, like even if they and maybe then don't even go because they're just like we just like want to stay in the the queue.
right, yeah, because I think I've missed my window on the Jonathan Colton cruise just
Hmm.
because of that. I I can't even remember if this year I went to check the prices. There's one year not too long ago where I got the thing like, "Wow, tickets are now available," and I went and looked, and I was like, oh dear, oh yeah, that's like a new furnace.
Yeah,
Okay, all right,
yeah. The theme cruises are like, and the Star Trek one's not cheap either. The theme cruises are, and the way we do it is the way we've done it. The two times we've done it is definitely like not the cheapest. Like we have a couple friends who, well, we met on the cruise, but they go, they are both in relationships with people who don't want to really want to go on the cruise, which is always weird to me. Like, I don't know what Mike's into, but I'm trying to think of something Mike's into that I'm not, but I would still probably go on a cruise of that thing.
yeah,
But anyway, just because I like to go places, but different people. So there are like two people in relationships with people who don't want to go. They don't mind. Like Mike and I will usually get the two times we've gone, we've gotten pretty nice rooms, which is kind of a waste of money because we don't spend all that much time in them. it's still
Right.
nice. It's still really nice. Don't get me wrong, but like it's
Yeah.
but then
I
so these two guys get like the cheapest like interior cabin that's like a tiny hole, which is I think I'd be a little claustrophobic. There's no window, there's no blah blah blah, right? And but it's a really economical way to do it
Yep.
because like Mike and I were not like Mike and I going as a couple, we're not splitting anything. We're
Right.
paying for it all out of our communal funds as opposed to like two people from different families
Yep.
coming and splitting the cost of the cheapest room imaginable. And with the acknowledgement that like it's a cruise ship, you could sleep on the deck if you want. It's a
Right.
Caribbean cruise, so it's not like you don't need to be in your room a lot. So they are there are smarter ways to do it, I guess, but
Yeah.
you also have
And
to have the right circumstances.
I do find that when I travel because, and I'm bummed about this development in my life, I've become a hotel snob.
Hmm.
And I never wanted that to happen for me. I really wanted to be oh, as long as it's clean and there's no bed bugs, I'm fine with it. But
Hmm.
nope, it happened. But the truth of it really is like if I'm going to be on vacation somewhere, hopefully I'm not going to be spending a whole ton of time in the room.
Yeah.
And mainly all I need to do is rest in there, change my clothes, and like have a place to clean up. So I don't
Yeah.
really need that extra desk or whatever because it's not like I'm on a business trip and I'm going to be working in my room.
Yeah. We tend to go a little wild with hotel, but we also use a ton of point cards and stuff. So a lot of times, like, well, I say we. Mike's really good at this. So a lot of times the being a hotel snob is just a matter of like getting the upgrades from the points or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
that helps too. But
Yeah. I'm going on a trip coming up, and I'm not sure how the hotel is going to be because a friend that I'm meeting there chose it.
yeah,
So that's going to be
and
kind of interesting.
most people aren't hotel snobs. So
Yeah, that was the thing. But I figure for this, it makes way more sense to be in the same hotel as my friend
yeah,
because the point of going to that city is I'm going to meet that friend there.
yeah.
So why am I going to book something across town? And then every time she's like, okay, let's meet for dinner. I'm like, okay, let me get a car.
Well, and it's also, I guess being a hotel snob is situational too. Like when we stayed in Amsterdam, we stayed in a, price wise, not the cheapest place, but because it was an old European city, you know, it's a tiny, like for one of us to go to the other side of the room, the other person had to get on the bed.
I have been also in Europe. I've been in hotel rooms like that where it is like you're paying a decent amount, but yeah, in
And it was
Liverpool, I stayed
central.
in
Like
one
it
that
was
was,
right. The view
yeah,
was good. It was right on a canal. So it wasn't like,
yeah,
it wasn't the Marriott, which probably would have been fine, but it was, so I'd rather situationally,
yeah,
I'd rather do what we did than go to an old European city and stay at the Sheraton off the, off the highway or
yeah, by
whatever,
the airport.
Right.
Yeah, I do remember that from being in England. The
Hmm.
liner was shaped like an ocean liner, and the rooms were pretty much like sized like an ocean liner.
Okay.
It was very cute,
Yeah.
but it was tiny. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll report back on that.
All right.
But yeah, I'd like to take a cruise someday. And I'd like to go to GoldenCon.
Well,
And
there you go.
Chicago's a fun city.
Yeah, Chicago is a fun city. We're not staying long, so I don't think we're going to do too much else. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I have to figure out. I was looking at dress em ups,
I was going to say,
and I
like, what are you
haven't
going to
figured it out.
cosplay as?
I don't know. So I was thinking, so there's like an episode where they do jazzercise and they have like, and Rue McClanahan has this gray. So one of the ideas I had was I found a sparkly gray romper,
All right.
like a men's romper. And and it's the same color and sort of shimmer as the episode where they go to like jazzercise and Rue McClanahan is wearing, she's got like a like a gray sort of full body
Uh
leotard
huh.
and then like a leather like a leather vest jacket for some reason. um those like it's like a leather jacket, but it's just like without sleeves.
Okay, like a motorcycle jacket?
Yeah, kind of. And I doesn't. It's the kind of thing that makes like visually it makes perfect sense, but if when you're trying to analyze it to like figure out how to like recreate this, you're like, why is she wearing a leather jacket to her aerobics class? It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. But anyway, um, so I found this shimmery silver romper, and I was like, oh, if I bet I can make this work with that. If I like find, I don't want to wear a leather vest jacket, but if I find something to offset it, something like a black something on top,
You can borrow
and I
my
found,
I have a leather vest. You can borrow it.
well, thank you. I don't really want to do that, but thank you.
Okay.
That's very kind of you.
It's
Um,
not it's not the right kind. It's not a motorcycle one. It's just kind of
mm,
plain.
yeah. Um, so that was an idea I had, but then there's the mother of a solid gold dancer disco. And I don't know. So that's not really for that unless so I was trying to find pictures from last year too to see kind of what people did. So I don't have any ideas. I don't know. I also we tried this once for Halloween and then we couldn't find anything that worked because I was like, oh, because I like you're tall, I'm short. We could totally be Dorothy and Sophia.
Yes.
But then we just could not. So we hit like we were hitting the like Sophia's not too hard, but like Dorothy's very specific.
Right. Yeah, really
And
specific style.
yeah, and we were hitting thrift stores and stuff, and we're just not finding the pieces that would make it work. So we sort of
Right.
gave up on it. So we might be I don't know if we're gonna I don't know if we're gonna go crazy with the cosplay with this, but we'll see. We'll see what we can pull together. I'm feeling good about the jazzercise situation, but then I don't know what else. I feel like we still need like a ball, like a disco girl look.
Yeah. I mean, disco's fun though.
Mm-hmm. So, but we'll see.
Yeah,
But
and
I think it'll
I
be,
also
I think
realize
it'll
I
be fun
think that my
regardless.
leather vest, I think your shoulders are too broad for it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And
Because I'm a
especially with the
man.
new workout plan.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, I want
I
to
am
go to
happy
the
with my
disco.
shoulders. Like I am like I never thought my trainer Dan was like, "Oh, we'll do this, which is good for shoulders." And he was like, "Which you wouldn't think would matter." But then like when you see your shoulders start to get a little nicer, you're like, "Oh, cool, I have nice shoulders." And now I am like, "Oh, I like my shoulders now."
Yeah, it's
Never
fun.
really thought. Now I'm going to be insecure. Now if my shoulders get out of shape again, I'm going to be that's I guess this will just filter back into a new insecurity when someday when like I don't work out as much and my shoulders start to get like I don't know saggy, and then I'm
I
like,
don't think they'll
oh
get
my,
saggy.
maybe not. So, but yeah, hot shoulders are a
Yeah,
thing. It turns out
they are. I
women
like mine.
probably
I'm
know that
fun.
because women wear a
Yeah.
lot of shoulder revealing clothes.
I'll, yes, I've been aware of my shoulders for a very long time.
Yeah, I say women, traditionally presenting women type.
People who dress like I do.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're a little shouldery at times.
so
Not so much this time of year.
yeah, it's too cold.
That sounds like so
So
much fun.
that's my
I'm
life.
excited for you. Ross, I've got some follow up that I've been talking about
All
for
right, hit
like
it. I'm
4
gonna I'm
weeks
gonna
now.
hit it. I'm gonna try to eat a walnut while you do it. Go
Try
ahead.
to eat a walnut. Ross, you may remember, and Space Cadets, you may remember, years and years and years ago,
I remember.
Ross and I did a Marie Kondo challenge, and we condoed some of our belongings. And to follow up on that, my closet is still kind of condoed. Like things are arranged by color and pattern and in order. My t-shirt drawer, kinda, but not really. So
Are your
some of it
underwear
stuck, some of it didn't.
are your underwear still kind of rolled up into weird little balls?
The ones in the drawer are, but
Okay.
I am to a point in my life where there is just a clean basket of laundry and the undies never get put away anymore. They get thrown in
Because
this basket because
you're just going through underwear so fast at this point
well,
in your
yeah,
life.
when you work out as much as I do,
Mm,
you get sweaty and you need to change
it's true.
because sitting around in sweaty undergarments is gross.
So you're working out like 6 times a day, I assume.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With this new pedometer, I'm unstoppable. It's
Mm.
terrible. Um, but how's your condoing holding up?
Oh, done. No, I'm actually Goodwilling the book this week.
Okay.
Because I was like, wow, this did nothing for me. This changed my life not at all, except for rolling up my underwear in weird little balls, which I don't even
Yeah.
really like. So
See,
I
I
do,
had to fold mine in weird little packets.
yeah, I say like I fold them. I try to fold them in the weird little packets, and then it turns into weird little balls. Like
Okay.
once I pull one out of the drawer, the rest of them kind of explode out of their little
They just go.
packets. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I get it. No, a lot
um,
of mine are still folded in strange little packets.
I do the thing which you don't need the book for. The thing about sparking joy,
Yes.
which is like kind of silly, and people say it is sort of a silly thing, and I say it is sort of a silly thing when I say it, but like I still kind of think about that. Like, does this like does this spark joy? Is this something that makes me happy to have, or is this just something I'm keeping to keep? So that is sort of a helpful. I think that is a helpful question to ask
Yeah.
oneself.
Yes, it is. And I don't know about you. Is there ever anything in your house that makes you actively unhappy?
Um, no, I think for most people in my house, I'm that thing. So I don't. Maybe
Like I can think of a couple things. I'll call them out. The game. Wait, what is it? Game of Thrones?
I
Is
don't know what you're talking about. So
the Fire and Ice? What is that? What is that series by George R. R. Martin that's so popular?
you can just say Game of Thrones.
Oh, so I said Game of Thrones. I said it right. Um,
I didn't know if that's what you were talking about,
that
which
was
is
what I
why I
was
did
talking
not.
about.
Okay.
I had to get rid of those books
Huh.
because I was reading them and then I came upon something that upset me very, very, very much. And I don't get rid of that many books. But every time I saw these books on my shelf, I remembered the thing that upset me very badly. And they were actively bumming me out.
Did you read past the first book?
I think I did.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Because I know the
I'm
thing that
pretty sure
upset
I
you,
did.
because I remember we all heard about it at the time.
We all had to.
um, and I think that was like in the first book.
I think I think I read well past that,
Okay.
but then realized, oh, you're actually upset. Like these are upsetting you.
Yeah.
Why are you reading them? Please stop.
Yeah.
And now get rid of them.
That's
And then
smart.
I have a broken garbage can that really makes me mad like every day.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think I need to get rid of that because it's causing, like I said, it's making me upset during my day. It's pretty stupid. I should buy a new garbage can.
Yeah. No, that's smart. I think getting
But
rid of things that, eh, you know, with the caveat that um, minimalism as a concept is slightly elitist
oh,
in a sense. And I'm not saying that to be like a, oh, you're getting rid of stuff, you must be a snob. But the idea that, when I was growing up, we kept everything because we were poor and I was raised with my grandmother who grew up in the
that's
Depression.
right.
So you kept
Oh
things
yeah.
because you didn't know if you could buy a new thing to
Well,
replace the thing.
that's the darn thing, and you might need the thing.
You might need the thing. So
Yeah,
on the
no,
one
I'm a
hand,
woman who has coffee cans of parts and pieces down in the basement.
yeah, and that's reasonable.
I
I
might need
mean,
a thing at some point.
yeah.
But Roz, you will be perhaps relieved to know that Marie Kondo revealed that she's kind of given up on being so tidy.
Oh, good.
Yep. So this is
Well,
from
then,
the
I
end of
don't.
January. This is
I don't
from a
even feel
couple
bad
weeks
about.
ago.
I don't even feel bad about getting rid of her book then.
And she says, I have kind of given up on that in a good way for me. Now I realize what is important to me is enjoying spending time with my children at home. And this was according to the Washington Post. And so the person behind the KonMari method, decluttering by tossing anything that doesn't spark joy, no longer totally practices what she preached.
Okay.
And some Twitter users have been quoted as saying, like, oh, this is refreshing and validating. A lot of parents brought up concerns of, like, how am I supposed to maintain this lifestyle that seems so idealistic when I
Mm-hmm.
have so many kids? And I do remember when there's such a trend of people reading The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, The Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing. Like, it almost seemed to me like there were people who felt they had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were other people who were angry that they were being forced to do it. But
Yeah.
no one was actually forcing anyone to do it. It was just trendy.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the weird anger and stuff. It's like, no, 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 this is a book you can choose to buy. And then if you
Right.
choose to read it, you still don't have to do the stuff it says. Like,
Right.
this is entirely your choice. There's no gun to your head. Like, this is not law. Um, but I also can see how people who read it and maybe beat themselves up for not being able to follow that lifestyle
Hmm.
would see this and be like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I think there's absolutely something to be said for not having more stuff than you. I think clutter is probably more stressful than we realize to us, and it's to some more than others, and that's very situational too. So it's different people are different. Some people clutter does not bother at all.
Oh, clutter
Um,
kind of. It gets to me. I can't
right,
have
but you
just
acknowledge
like,
that if someone is not like that, they're an okay person.
oh, they're not a bad person.
Yeah,
I might get a little twitchy, but that's my problem.
right.
And if,
So
if I'm in somebody else's space and it's cluttered, wow, I can remember like a long, long time ago that getting to me a couple times.
mhm,
But these days, I think it would take a lot for me to really be like, yeah,
yeah.
because it's not my space. It's not my business.
Well, it's one thing. I mean, there's a difference too between clutter and like unhygienic, unsanitary.
We've talked about that before. Like if I walk in someone's house and they haven't dusted their end table, I don't care. If
Right.
there's like rotten pizza boxes piled up ankle deep on the floor, well, but I might be concerned. That
Yeah.
might that might uh that might worry me.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But yeah, so Marie Kondo is now quoted as saying the true purpose of tidying is not to cut down on your possessions or declutter your space, but rather to learn to make meaningful choices and find gratitude in everyday life.
Well, and I mean, there's something to be said there too. I think, especially as Americans,
Yeah,
we tend to collect so much stuff, anyone of any means. We're
I
encouraged to collect
know.
stuff.
Sure are.
And I think you lose your ability to appreciate any of it. You lose your ability to appreciate the really cool stuff or the really meaningful stuff because there's so much stuff. So I think there's something to be said for, I mean, minimalism for the sake of minimalism. I don't know. I don't know if that's valuable or not, but I think there's something to be said for having stuff that you appreciate and not
Hmm.
having a lot of stuff that you don't appreciate.
Yep. Yeah, I find that one issue I have is like having this is very specific, having so many V-neck black dresses, and yet I keep buying V-neck black dresses. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because if I go and look in that one end of my closet where the black dresses are kept, I have a lot of black dresses. And I don't know what it is with me. Like, oh, I'll just get this one too. It's like, but
Well,
you have so many.
and we have that American shop, and it's not just American, but we have that shopping thing too of, we shop for the serotonin hit of getting a new thing.
You have a little pick me up of like, ooh, this looks cute. Yeah, it
Hmm.
also looks like 8 other dresses you have. And
Right.
why do you have so many dresses?
Well, and I'm like, I'm bad with books. Like I if if they stopped making books
Yes.
today, I would still have enough books in my house that I could get through the rest of my life.
I know,
I
but
might
but
have to reread it. I might have to reread a thing or two, but
but
I
the
mean, just
thing with
objectively,
books, like they're not going to go bad. They're not going to go out of style. You're not going to change shape so much that you can't read the book anymore.
yeah, but do I need more books than I can like get through in my life? Do I need a book I'm not going to read for 2 years? You know what I mean?
Eh, I feel I feel like it's not bad to have more books.
No, I agree, but also like it's also that serotonin hit of like, oh, I bought a new book.
Yeah.
Again, it's not the worst thing. I'm always like, well, it could be heroin.
Yes.
That's my second choice. I'm either going to buy a book or I could go get some heroin.
Could be another
Um,
V-neck black dress.
right. But
Yeah, I feel
it's,
like a book is better than a dress.
I
Because,
don't
like,
know.
who knows? What if I decide I don't like these dresses anymore, but I'm probably going to like the book? Or if I don't like the book, I'll just donate it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, it was very interesting to me to just see kind of the evolution of Marie Kondo.
Yeah.
And it turns out that was 2014
Oh
that The
wow.
Magic of Tidying Up came out, which does
Um,
make sense. A while ago, though.
you know what happened a very long time ago?
What happened a very long time ago?
You were born. But also,
Oh, was that
um,
the appropriate response? I don't
that
know
was
if
pretty.
I've ever have I ever done anything that childish on the
That
air
was pretty
before.
good. That was
Yeah.
pretty good. And the answer is yes, you absolutely have. But
Yeah, I probably
so
have.
this was neat. I thought this was a neat. I always love a, we used to do our unshelved mysteries.
Yeah, we did. I
So this is kind of in that category.
love it.
Hope I don't know about personally, but Mary Queen of Scots,
Oh, yes.
you're familiar with
No,
the
because I was born such a long time ago, of course.
right.
Obviously good friends.
So she was the oh, we got a lost connection, regained connection thing. So I don't
Uh-oh.
know what that means, but hopefully
Ooh.
nobody heard that until I
Ooh.
said it. So she was the poor lady. She was beheaded in 1587 under orders of Queen Elizabeth I, etc. She was imprisoned for quite a long time. Kind of a, I mean, I won't go through her whole life. Kind of, I don't want to say anybody was asking for being beheaded. She was really pushing. She really pushed Queen Elizabeth, I got to say, but still a very interesting, fascinating historical figure. So she, during her time in prison, so she was in prison for she was in prison for like uh, quite a long time. And I can't remember how it's not here, but anyway, so she wrote a ton of letters, and there's all this interesting stuff about sort of 16th century code. We think of our ability to, like, our passwords and our codes and things like that as being really great, but there's all this like 16th century ciphering that there's
Oh.
stuff that people still haven't figured out, and um even stuff like, so there are codes in terms of letters and things like that, and then even the way people would, there were tricks to like folding letters
Yes, I've heard about this.
such that you can't open the letter without destroying it if you don't
Hmm.
know exactly what to do. So it's really interesting. So there are all these letters that Mary Stuart, Mary Queen of Scots, wrote while she was imprisoned. That had they A lot of them had been lost. They had sort of wound up in a they had sort of been misfiled for centuries, and then also they were not able to be deciphered immediately. So Gary Lasry, a computer scientist and cryptographer, and Norbert Bierman, a pianist and music professor. Oh, and Satoshi Tomokiyo, a physicist and patents expert,
Wow.
um, all worked on deciphering these letters. There were something like 54 letters that hadn't been revealed. So they used manual techniques, they used computer stuff, and they have cracked the code of these letters. So okay, so she was held in captivity for 19 years. So these were 54 letters over the course of a period of time. She wrote a lot more letters, but these are the ones that had been lost and also undeciphered. So uh, she complained in the letters. This particular group of letters that were deciphered, many of these were sent through to the French ambassador to England, Michel de Castelnau de Montvicia.
Ooh.
Mary complained about her poor health and conditions of her activity and spoke about her efforts to negotiate with Elizabeth for her release. Um, the letters document also her attempts to win over some of Elizabeth's officials with presents. She expresses concern for her son, the one who had sort of abandoned her, um, who became King James VI of Scotland and then James I of England. And there's not been a lot of there's not too much more at this moment of what's, the detailed, because this has just sort of happened, but really, I mean, cool and fascinating to find to pull a trove of letters from a, even if people don't know exactly who Mary Queen of Scots is, I think pretty much anyone you're going to run into knows the name, right? Like, people
I
know
would
about Mary Queen of
think,
Scots.
yeah, if nothing else, like, oh, beheaded, right?
Yeah. and a giant, to say, here's a giant stack of letters that we've didn't know were there, and then for a long time, once we knew
Yes.
were there, couldn't read because because even though like literally anybody can crack my password in 2023, nobody could figure out these letters for 500 years.
Wow. So
Uh,
can I ask, were these letters in English?
I believe they were in French.
Okay. Um, so it was coded language. So for example, was it something like if she said, I don't speak French well enough to even try, but like, oh, it's sunny and warm, and my chambers are dry today. She really meant, I'm very worried about my son who's abandoned me.
You
Was it
know,
like word to word?
you're saying that now, and I almost need to like follow now. Now that I'm talking about this more, I almost need to do a little more research on this because um the the article doesn't have the piece I'm reading. So I'm reading. I pulled this from the Guardian, and it does not have that detail. And
Okay.
I'd like to know more about that myself. But no, I don't know.
Yeah, because I know
Um,
back in the day, and maybe even now, like there were so many different codes. When you started talking about old timey codes, I was thinking about I think it's the Victorian flower code.
mhm.
And you could give somebody a bouquet that meant something horrible. Like you would give them a pretty bouquet, but what you were telling them through the meanings of the flowers is like, I hate you and I hope someone poisons you because I want you to die.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've really lost that now. Like if somebody tried to offend me by giving me flowers, they would also need to like print out a thing letting me know the meaning of each flower,
Right.
which would kind of spoil the elegance of the code.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I find that stuff so interesting, even though I know little about it.
Well, and yeah, it was the same thing with Mary Queen of Scots because just in 2021, one of her last letters with this paper folding, I don't know that it was also in code, but it was this paper folding that nobody could figure out how to open. So they basically wound up doing a, um, I don't know if it's an X-ray, but like a, like, like with modern technology, basically scanning individual layers of the paper slice by slice without having to open
Wow.
it
It's
because they couldn't
incredible.
open it because they couldn't figure out how to open it still.
Right.
And also, I mean, couldn't figure out how to open it. And then if something's been folded for 500 years, do you try to pull it apart? You probably don't. This is probably the way to
Right.
do
And
it
is it so
regardless.
brittle?
Right. So, but fascinating.
It is.
I don't know.
I
I love
wonder
that
if
stuff.
any of those letter folding techniques are available anywhere.
Yeah.
I've never searched that stuff.
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, because when I remember in 2021, and I don't have it to hand, I don't have any of this to hand, but I know I was seeing stuff. There was stuff where people were talking about, there might have been like a Nova or something. I might be making that up, but something like that, where they were talking about that and showing sort of the example of like, you cut here and you cut there and you make little things in the thing, and it locks it together such if you don't know exactly what you're doing to open it, you sort of rip it to shreds.
That's pretty fascinating. I do remember like being a kid and back in our day, or at least in my day, because I'm very old, you couldn't text anybody. You had to pass notes. And there were like
Sure.
ways that people would fold notes. But it was more, it wasn't to lock them together. It was just to like be creative and funny.
Right. Or they did those things shaped like a triangle.
Yeah, those fortune tellers. I still know how to make one of those.
Yeah. Mine always came out that I was a nerd. So it was like, pick a color. Okay. Pick
I
a
did one of
number.
those not
Okay.
too
Pick a
long
thing.
ago. I
Yeah.
did a
You're a nerd.
John Cougar Mellencamp
Okay.
fortune teller. It was pretty funny.
So it looks like I'm just looking real quick, and I'll look at this more in the future. I'm just looking. I've pulled up an example of what they found, and it's apparently like no, it's not. It's not just like little coded phrases. It is an entire cipher system, is what it looks like. Looking at this really
That's
quickly, it is like
incredible.
if you pulled this open, you would have no idea what it said.
Wow, so more of symbols than letters?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so cool.
So go, Mary Queen of Scots.
I know that's
I
really
mean,
neat.
you know, this didn't
I mean, it
didn't help
didn't
her
work
much,
out
I
that
guess,
well
but
for her,
didn't
but
work out that well. But
it kept her
uh,
busy, I suppose.
yeah, so I'll send you a secret coded letter,
I would love that. I think it sounds great. I'll
or I'll
send
just
you
make one of those.
I'll send you a secret coded bouquet.
All right.
But it'll say that you're handsome. I'm very fond of you.
I will send you messages via traditional hanky code.
Okay, I'll look that up.
Yep. So it's probably gonna be a little naughty, but we'll
That
do
I
it.
think all of hanky code is, isn't it?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, no.
It's not a little
I
bit
was
naughty.
well. I mean, it's a little bit flirty, but it's
There
not
we go.
necessarily
There we go.
specific.
Flirty
It
isn't naughty.
depends on your definition of naughty, but if it's just like, "Hey, I'm looking for a date tonight," that's not naughty. That's just if it's saying like, "I want you to pee on my foot," I mean, that's different. That's like a whole.
What color hanky is that?
I don't know. I got to look that up.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've got a black one and a red one. I don't know what those mean.
Okay. Probably not great, actually.
All
You
right.
might want to be careful about that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I haven't actually worn those since COVID before we knew what to do, but people were tying scarves around their faces because it just seemed like you were supposed to be doing something.
Right.
So that was the last time I saw my bandanas.
Well, on that note, everyone, pull out your hankies, encode your letters, and write to the French ambassador about how much you love Sound of Tomorrow,
That's right.
and listen to some more Wayo shows because we got more stuff coming up. It's great. We're gonna be back next week with more stuff and nonsense and some hankies and probably some coded letters and some
Probably.
secret nonsense.
And maybe some ciphers.
Thank you for being some friends.
Someone actually invited me to a Super Bowl party this year.
And you went?
I sure did.
Okay, and?
Halfway through the game, the host turned to me and said, "You're the worst person to watch a football game with." And I said, "I know. I don't know why you invited me."
No, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't invite you to stuff. It's not
good at other parties.
Not without cause.
We went to a football party together once, you and I.
Yeah, we did.
That was weird.
I don't think we talk to those people anymore.
No.
Or they don't talk to us.
Right.
All right. I don't blame them.